Have you ever looked at a raisin, that small, wrinkled, chewy snack, and wondered, how on earth did this used to be a grape? It might seem like a simple transformation, but the journey from vineyard to your cereal bowl is packed with ancient history, careful science, and even a bit of high-tech wizardry. Welcome to Origin of Things, where we uncover the incredible backstories behind everyday objects and foods. In this episode, we're tracing the sweet, sun-drenched transformation of grapes into one of the world's most iconic snacks, raisins. From ancient civilizations to modern machines, we reveal how nature, science, and time work together to create this timeless treat. Raisins have been around for over 4,000 years, longer than most modern civilizations. The earliest records of raisin use appear in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, where raisins were used as currency, medicine, and religious offerings. In ancient Greece, athletes were awarded raisins as prizes. The Romans too loved them, serving raisins at banquets, using them as sweeteners, and feeding them to soldiers for energy. During the Middle Ages, raisins were one of the few available sweeteners in Europe, long before sugarcane became widely accessible. By the 18th and 19th centuries, as global trade expanded, raisins became a staple commodity. And in California, a climate almost identical to parts of the Mediterranean, made it ideal for raisin production, sparking an industry that would eventually dominate the world market. Not all grapes are created equal, especially when it comes to becoming raisins. The most commonly used variety is the Thompson seedless grape, developed in the 1800s. These grapes are small to medium-sized greenish yellow, naturally high in sugar, seedless, which makes drying easier and more pleasant for eating. Other raisin varieties include flame seedless, for red raisins with a brighter flavor; muscat grapes, used for golden raisins and more aromatic types; black Corinth, tiny and intensely flavored, often labeled as Zante currants. To grow raisin-quality grapes, vineyards require consistent sunlight, minimal rain during harvest, low humidity. To prevent mold during drying, efficient irrigation systems. Vines typically take 2-3 years to mature, and full harvest potential is reached by year 5. Grapes are pruned in winter, bloom in spring, and ripen in late summer, when sugar levels reach their peak. In the United States, the raisin harvest usually begins in August or September. The grapes are carefully hand-harvested or mechanically shaken onto catch frames, depending on the vineyard's method and scale. For sun-dried raisins, the grapes are laid out on brown craft paper trays between vineyard rows, left under the sun for 2-3 weeks. Carefully turned midway to ensure even drying sunlight naturally evaporates the water inside the grapes. Over this time, they shrink, wrinkle, and develop their rich sweetness and chewy texture. Sun-drying is traditional, but it's not without challenges. Unexpected rain can destroy an entire crop. Birds and pests often target drying trays. Uneven drying can lead to inconsistencies in texture and color. Some producers cover their trays with special paper or use row drying systems that elevate grapes for better airflow and quicker moisture loss. As raisin demand grew, technology stepped in. Mechanical drying, or dehydration, is now widely used in commercial operations. Grapes are harvested and cleaned, transferred to drying tunnels, exposed to controlled warm air around 60-70 degrees Celsius, dried within 24 to 36 hours. This method has several benefits: faster turnaround, consistent moisture control, better sanitation, year-round operation. But it also consumes significantly more energy and often results in a slightly different texture and flavor. Golden raisins, for instance, are not sun-dried. They're oven-dried in the presence of sulfur dioxide gas, which prevents oxidation, preserves a golden color, enhances shelf life. This sulfur treatment is safe in small quantities, but must be declared on the label for those with sensitivities. Once drying is complete, raisins move to processing plants. Here's what happens next: destemming and sieving. Mechanical shakers remove stems, leaves, or vines. The raisins pass through screens to separate sizes, washing and rehydration. Despite being dried, raisins often need to be lightly rehydrated and washed to remove dirt, sugars or dust clinging to their surface. This process also softens the raisins for packaging and prevents them from being brittle. Grading. Color. Darker or lighter. Size. Large, medium, small. Texture. Smooth, wrinkled, sticky, firm. Modern facilities use AI-based optical sorters and infrared scanners that analyze thousands of raisins per second. Any raisin that looks moldy, broken, or underdried gets rejected, often by a puff of air. Final checks are done by trained workers on conveyor belts under bright lights, using gloved hands and trained eyes. Cleaned and sorted raisins are dried to the final moisture range, usually 15–18%. They are then weighed and packed into containers, bags, boxes, or vacuum-sealed packs. Nitrogen flushed to remove oxygen and extend shelf life, labeled for nutrition, origin, and sulfite content. Raisins are stored in cool, dry warehouses to preserve texture and flavor. When stored properly, raisins can last up to 12 months or more. Some producers coat raisins in sunflower oil or glycerin to prevent clumping in the package. Raisins are often referred to as nature's candy, and for good reason. Here's what a small serving offers. Quick energy from natural sugars, glucose and fructose. Dietary fiber for digestive health, potassium, iron, and magnesium. Antioxidants like phenols and resveratrol. They contain no fat or cholesterol and are naturally vegan and gluten-free. However, they are calorie-dense, about 85 calories per 2 tablespoons, so moderation is key. Today, the world produces over 1.2 million metric tons of raisins every year. Top producing countries: United States, primarily California; Turkey, particularly sultanas; Iran, China, Chile. Raisins are used in breakfast cereals, energy bars, baked goods, cookies, cakes, breads, savory dishes like biryani, couscous, and salads, trail mix, and sports nutrition. They're also used in winemaking, raisin wine, and sometimes fermented into syrup for natural sweeteners. Final thoughts. Why raisins matter. Behind every raisin is a combination of sunlight, labor, chemistry, and tradition. It's a snack with a story, stretching from the vineyards of ancient civilizations to high-tech optical sorters in modern factories. It may be small, but the raisin's journey is vast, and it all starts with one grape, one farmer, and one season of sunshine. So next time you toss a handful into your oatmeal or trail mix, take a moment to appreciate the centuries of history and science packed into that little wrinkled gem. Thanks for watching Origin of Things. If you enjoyed this episode on how raisins are made, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay updated with new videos. Got a suggestion for what we should explore next? Drop it in the comments below. We just might feature your idea in an upcoming episode.